and as of today, I'm going to be resurrecting the Drupal series, the Drupal 7 series, from the dead. So, we're going to start with a little introduction to the views module for Drupal 7, which is views 3. Now, there's a views module for Drupal 6. You'll see more information about that in my Drupal 6 crash course series in several videos on that, because views is a staple module for Drupal and is really kind of important. So, that's what we're going to look at today. There's some kind of the changes. If you want more background on what views is, as I say, you can go back and check that video. Basically, what it does is it allows you to create lists of content of any node type, or really anything that you have in your Drupal installation. And this list, although it's a list in terms of markup, it can be formatted and kind of returned and displayed in many different ways. So that's what views is. So here we have the views page. You can see that there's a Drupal 7 version and it's in beta 3. Something new to views 3 is a new API, or API module that's required, called the Chaos Tool Suite, or CTS for short, or CTools for short. You'll need this, and this adds in a whole bunch of cool things that you can harness to use your Drupal, to use views. So we've got those two modules enabled. If we look in our site, we can see we've got our sites all modules folder. You always put contributed modules in sites all modules, not the root modules folder. You can see that there. And if you've seen any of my Drupal videos, you know I always harp on people for not putting their modules and themes in the sites all folder. So, now that we've got that out of the way, let's look at our example. If we go into my Drupal site, you can see I've got my Drupal demo site here. There's a Drupal 7 site using a theme that I wrote a while back, and it's got some dummy content generated by the Devel module. So if we go into our modules area, we can have a look at what's enabled. We can see we have fields and field UI enabled, which are Drupal specific modules, which kind of are similar to CCK, and we'll have to kind of reference that in a minute. We've got a Chaos Tools module enabled, and that also allows us to enable the views UI module, which we really need here, but that enables some dependencies. I've also got some Devel module, the Devel generate module here to help me generate some dummy content for us to use. So now that that's all enabled, we can look at our example here. If we look under structure, content types, we can see that we've created 3 content types here: article, event, and page. Now, we know that an event content type is going to contain slightly different information, mainly an event description and an event date. Now, in order to do this, we're when I want to harness all three of those things. But it's important to notice if we look, if we go to manage fields for the event content, that just to show you that we do have those in our those three details: defined event, event name, event date, and event description. The date, by the way, uses the default stuff that's built on by the field UI module. So I must just jump back into my modules for a minute here. You'll notice before I forget, we also have the date module and date views enabled, because we're going to be using views, and crucial to an event node type. What separates it from a lot of other node types is often a date, so that's what we're going to be harnessing. So make sure you also have date views enabled. It's going to come with the date module. So let's get started looking at this. If you go to the root of our so it's kind of the Drupal reverse views mentality, and if we look at all these nodes, there's a lot of nodes on this site. We can see that if I was to pick this one for example, this is just a static article because it doesn't have that event date installed. But if we were to look, for example, at this article, we do have a date, and we also have an event description. So those because the way Drupal is set up by default, those two things are listed in separate in the same review of news kind of thing. So we're going to separate our events from all our other types of content so that people can see the difference, and they don't have to search through for what are events and what are other types of content like we just did. So this is where views is going to come in and help us. So we're just going to start building it, and then we're going to look at it. So the views kind of functions are now going to be found inside structure and views. And we're going to go to, for some reason, my Drupal installation is acting funny. You would normally have an add tab up here, but to get to the add functionality, we're just going to go to the slash add page. Normally, of course, you wouldn't have to do that because the add page would just be shown. So this is what's going to bring up by default. This is where the process starts to separate itself from what we find used in Drupal 6. So we're just going to add in some event details. Oh, sorry, some view details. So we're just going to call the view event. This isn't going to be viewable by the user. We're just going to use it for our benefit. We could also use a description, but again, that's for our benefit, and we don't really need to use it. This is where it gets interesting. This is where we're going to do the meat of our customization. And of course, all of this in Drupal 6 was kind of harnessed in a much more complicated screen, similar to the one I'm going to show you in a minute. So to set up the basic principles of your view, this is all you're going to need. So I'm going to show content, i.e. nodes, not files, not content revisions, not users or modules. want to show content that we've published on our site, and we want to show event content types, and we want it to be newest first. We also happen to want to create a page because that's what we're in this whole exercise for. We want to create an upcoming events page that we can use. So I'm just going to change the title to upcoming events. This page is all new, by the way, and kind of gives you a much simpler way to create basic views, which I'll show you in a minute. Next, we're going to define our display format, and when we look at this, we'll see what we're looking at. So it's display as unformatted by default. Unformatted is basically a bunch of HTML which we can just style with CSS, but which is what I normally recommend. But instead, we're gonna display it inside table markup because this is tabular data, and this ideal for this thing. So we're gonna do table of fields. You could define a custom items per page, but we're not going to do that. We are going to create a menu link because we want our page to show up on this main area. Now, it's going to ask us to now define the menu. Now, this is something I'm going to go over in the in another video, but we have all these menus. All you need to know for now is this menu that's on the top, and indeed the menu on the bottom that's dictated by the theme. It's called the main menu. So we're just going to select the main menu and add a title of events. And we're also going to include an RSS feed so that people can subscribe to updates if they want. So we're just going to save and exit. That we've created a view there that shows all our events on one page, and if we click on any of them, we can go and see the extended details for that event. However, there's a problem with this. We will probably want to show more details about our event. For one thing, we want a title. We want a date that the event's going to be happening. We want a basic description. So let's go back and add all that stuff. What you're about to see now is the interface that you used to have to handle for any views operation in Drupal 6. What you just saw was a really simple interface compared to what you did in Drupal 6. So to edit that view, and you could normally just do this when you created the view by going to save and continue editing, but I just wanted to do that to show you the default display of the view. So we're just going to go to views and we're going to go to edit. So you can see we have this kind of complex area here, and it allows you to do a lot. This is what you used to have to do for views. So we're just going to do a couple of things to it. For one thing, we can see that we have page and feed, because some things that we want to display in an RSS feed might be something that we want to do. Like I say, if you just go through that simple feed editor, which is view editor, which is what most people are going to need, you're not going to need to see any of this. But it's there if you need it. So what do we need to add to this? Well, for one thing, I want to add some of the event descriptions. So beside where it says fields, we're just going to add. We're going to bring up this. We're going to bring up this area, and even though we put our event description in the body field of our node, and we call it event description, was actually our body field. So that's one thing we're going to add in. We also want to add in our date field to show when the date of the event is. So we're going to check that as well. The date comes from that views dates module that I went back and told you to enable. You won't be able to use this if you're not using date module to display your dates. With that said, we're going to add and configure fields. And it's now going to give us a whole bunch of options. For one thing, we don't want to display actually, we do want to display the date as a column heading, both from and to date. No, we're just going to have the from date. They can choose to have the to date if they want to. They can click through if they want the to date. Now, we're only going to show one value, so we don't need to edit any of that. Formatting, we're going to go medium. That's just date formatting. We're going to apply. We're going to go back in and edit this. For criteria, you see, we're now going to show our height, our body, and our date. We're probably going to show the date before the description, so I'm just going to move that by going to the sort button. And this can be the same for all displays, by the way. That's what it means by all displays. So it's going to show up in this order in our feed as well. So I'm going to put the date in the column before the body content. Hit apply. And I'm also going to sort our body field out because I forgot to add some things to it. We probably don't want to have the label as body, so we're going to uncheck that. There'll just be no label ever for this. I think that works quite well. We're going to say we want the summary because you saw how big some of those nodes were. So we don't want to show the whole node. We just want to show a bit of it, and they can click through to get the whole idea of it. You could also use a teaser instead of a body field anyway if you wanted. Most of this other stuff is gonna be alright. Might want to add hide the field if there's no field defined, or if there's no result for some reason, you might also want to add one there just for usability. We might want to style it if we want. It's pretty. You're gonna want to wrap field in HTML, probably so that you've got HTML tags to style with in your theme if you want. We're just going to use the defaults for now. Under more we have options to sort it. We have options to honour templates, a whole bunch of stuff. Under the rewrite fields option, we probably don't want to output the field as a link, so we're just going to hit apply, and that's our body field sorted out. So, one kind of important thing to note with this is we're not. This isn't saved. Any of our changes in this kind of Ajax interface aren't saved until we hit the final save button. So, what else do we need to do? Well, for one thing, I'm just going to go in, hit this title option, link this field to the original piece of content. So yeah, it will display itself. The last thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to I don't want to display all items in the page be really long, but equally I don't want to display a full page. So I'm just going to hit a mini pager and select apply. I don't want any of those options because I want to actually I do want to give an all items option if they want to show it, so I'm going to apply that. I'm also going to add in some header text. This will be displayed after the title and before the content, so I can either add it in a view area, which is something in each views for it, and we'll actually add the content inside the view itself. But I'm gonna choose global text area, which is similar to what we used to have in views too. So I'm just gonna hit add and configure. I don't want to display if there's no results. We'll put check out some upcoming events.
It's 14:30.
I'm just going to apply. You'll see where that's going to display in a minute. So all those settings look okay. We can check out our thing down below. You can kind of get a sense of what it's going to look like. It's not going to display exactly like that because of the way our theme's defined, but it'll display similar. Actually, looking at that preview, I'm actually going to add a field header to the event title just to make sure it's not out of place with that date field. Create a label. I'm not going to have the colour. Event. Name. Apply. And we're just going to save. Now remember, all of our options are now only just being saved when we click this final save button. Up until now, our options haven't been saved, so we're just gonna. It says click save to make changes permanent, so we're just gonna hit save up here, and we can also edit changes for the feed option if we want, but we're not gonna do that. So we're just gonna hit save. I'm gonna go over to our events. We can see we've got our page, we've got our title, we've got our header text, and anything could go in that header text, by the way. And then we've got our table with our event nodes, our links to our events, and just our view works pretty good in general. So that was a basic explanation of how to use Views 3 in Drupal 7. It got really, really long, but I hope that was an example that showed you what you can do with views, and more than that, just the changes. The main change is actually the fact that you now have to use C tools, and also that basic, simple starting pile. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and leave what you want to see down below if you want to see more Drupal content. Anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. Please visit my website if you want more kind of info like this. It's tom-website.com. Should be down below somewhere. A lot of web design articles on there and other things like that. So anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks very much. Bye bye.